Me, myself, I know I've talked about before, is that I took the bar twice, and I just hope that you just keep taking it. The only thing is that you don't want to stop. So if you don't pass it, take it again until you pass it. Don't give up. You will pass.
Anything that's a distraction, give that up. Give up the things that are distracting to you, whether that be like toxic relationships. If you need to be competing with yourself, it's a marathon, not a race. That's what everybody will say over and over again. Just show up. I think that's half the battle, is showing up.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Between the Winds podcast, a podcast about real life between the highlight reels. And today I have on a guest, one of my good friends from law school, Briana Keeler.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How you doing?
Excited. I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Congratulations. I mean, this is a big accomplishment. You've been talking about it for the longest, so I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I think I texted you like 4 years ago, like, oh, I want to start a podcast, and I started a notes app, and it's just been sitting in there until now.
No time like the present, so I'm glad you got it done. I'm excited to see the episodes come out. Anybody that knows you knows that you're like a natural communicator. You love people. You love talking. So I think this is just a perfect fit for you. And you have a lot of knowledge and things that you can share with people. So what better platform than a podcast to do it?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Y'all got to get y'all some friends like Bree. See, who you surround yourself with, that matters, because those people, they speak life into you when you like feel low or you think you can't make it. So you got to get you some good friends for this reason. And I've known Bree since 2016. We were just in here joking about about Drake. Y'all remember that song, All Summer 16? Hey, that was the highlight of our summer in DC, 2016. If you know, you know, right?
Yes, and hopefully you don't if you don't.
Okay, Bree, well, tell the people, what do you do?
So I am an attorney in Jackson, Mississippi. I primarily do criminal law. I've been practicing for almost 10 years now. So I'm still... can't believe it. Time has went by so fast.
And what's the weather like over there in Jackson compared to here?
I feel like Jackson and Atlanta are kind of the same. If you're not familiar, it's a 6-hour drive and an hour flight. So right now it's pretty warm. It's springtime. People, everybody's itching to get back outside. Daylight savings time. So be careful, y'all.
So what do y'all do out there in Jackson? Like, what's like the little go-to spots that like you recommend if someone's visiting?
Oh, it depends on what you're into. If you're into history, I definitely say check out the Two Mississippi's Museum. It has a lot of information about just Black history, Black culture. So if you're definitely into that, and Mississippi and the South in general, we're known for having a lot of civil rights leaders. And so if you want to learn more about that, I definitely say check that out. There's a lot of like local spots for bands and different things. If you're into live music, I say Johnny T's. It's a cute little place. It's like a bistro. They have live music on the weekends. It's a Black-owned business. They have great food. I'm trying to think of some other places. It just depends on what you're into. If you like food, if you like shopping, I tell people to come when there's like an event going on, because that way you'll have something to do, and that way I can kind of know. So like if you're coming, I'm like, okay, let's come when it's a concert, and so we can hang out and do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So if y'all need tips, looks like you need to hit up Bree.
Hit me up.
And she can help y'all out with that. So Bree's on the podcast today so we could talk about law school and just like the transition from law school to actually practicing law. A lot of people talk about like, oh, you took the LSAT, you got into law school, they congratulate you when you pass the bar, but like nobody really talks about what happens after that. And it's just so many things. Like it's so much you could talk. We really could put this into like multiple episodes, I think.
Yeah.
But we're going to touch on that today and just try to offer some advice from our perspective. So if you are trying to get in law school, coming out of law school, this podcast will definitely be helpful for you, or pass it on to your friends, family members. Me, myself, I know I've talked about before, is that I took the bar twice. So anybody who's ever had to sit for the bar twice, or even if you have to sit for it 3 or 4 times and you need some encouragement or advice, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give you some advice or help. And I just hope that you just keep taking it. The only thing is that you don't want to stop. So if you don't pass it, take it again until you pass it. Don't give up. You will pass. A lot of influential people have had to take it multiple times. Michelle Obama had to take it. It's in her book again. And she talks about that a lot. So we are going to go ahead and jump into this. So Bree,
Yes.
go back to law school.
Oh.
In your mind. I guess
In
you
my
got to go back
mind.
to law school right now.
If I could go back, honestly, if I could say one thing, since we're kind of starting with law school, I would start a little bit before law school. Fortunately, I had an amazing support system. And my dad, once he found out I wanted to be a lawyer, he sent me to this summer program, going into my senior year in high school. And it was like you learned how to do a trial from start to finish. And I think whatever story they gave us, it was something simple, but that was kind of like my first real instance. And I would say hopefully you have some young listeners or some people that are entering into college, start early if you know this is something that you want to do, and just start exposing yourself to, even if it's not like courtroom law, even if it's just simple things about the law, just going to like a lawyer's office and just touring the place, or going to a court and just touring the courthouse, just to immerse yourself in the environment, because exposure will change your perspective so much before you actually start doing the work. And just getting into law school, treat college like a job. Treat college like a job. Start early so you can get scholarships, so you can get different opportunities. And once you get to law school, the work has already begun before you get to law school. But law school itself it's a different beast. It's a different beast. You really have to know who you are and whose you are before you go into it. Go into it with a plan and see the finish line. Don't go into law school not imagining, if you're taking the traditional route, a 3-year program, don't go in not expecting to graduate and not expecting to pass the bar exam. You need to go in like you want to finish, and you need to go in thinking, I'm already a winner. I'm already an attorney. I already am where I want to be.
And I think it's interesting that you said that you were able to see a trial from start to finish in the program, because you're a trial lawyer. And a lot of people can't say that they're a trial lawyer, but it's just funny or interesting, like, hey, like when they say life is funny, in the sense that, okay, like you got exposed to that and then you end up actually being a real trial attorney in real life.
It's like that saying, like, say what you want to do and like watch God laugh at you or something. And it's like, I think before going into law school, or even in college, like I had did that program, but I remember saying, well, I want to do like public policy. I want to work on Capitol Hill, and I want to write legislation. And my dad looked at me, he's like, go to law school. And even since graduating law school, the jobs that I've had, they've all kind of been connected. And so even though I did that program at 16, 17, actually trying cases, I don't even know if myself, I thought that I would be trying the types of cases that I try now. So it's a full circle moment.
Yeah, it is. Life is funny like that, because I know when I went to law school, I said I never want to have a law firm. That just seems like something I'm not interested in, and that's like been the best thing for me. So it's just funny like how stuff works out. But yeah, you were talking about law school and like having the end in mind. And I think law school brings out a lot of type A people, and they put them all in the same room together.
Yes.
And then
it's kind of like, like one of my professors would say only 10 people can be in the top 10%.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to find out where you fit in. And it's like, instead of, everybody says imposter syndrome, instead of trying to figure out where you're trying to compete with the top 10, or you're trying to get to this number one spot. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but you need to be competing with yourself. It's a marathon, not a race. That's what everybody will say over and over again. Just show up. I think that's half the battle, is showing up. And of course, you have to do the work. I think some people discount the hard work that goes into law school. I tell students all the time, I remember the first time I got called on in civil procedure. It had to be like the first or second week. It was so bad. I felt so bad. I went into my car and like I shed tears, and I was like, oh my, like, what am I going to do? This is so terrible. Am I ever going to bounce back from this? And it's like, yes, you will bounce back. Just make sure you're doing the work, studying. Don't take a shortcut.
Yeah.
Don't take the shortcut. Like, it's good to have outlines. It's good to, people to tell you and put you on and help you. But like, ultimately, the people who I've seen be successful, they put in the work themselves and they don't try to take shortcuts.
Yeah. Something that you mentioned was like the first day of class in law school. And I remember when I went to law school, my first day of class, it was torts. And my torts professor, he had like a deck of cards and it had our pictures printed on it. And he would shuffle them and just pull out a card. And that's whoever had to answer the question. And I mean, my card, that whole semester, my card never got picked. But there was people who got picked 3-4 times in one semester. Like, if your card got picked, it wasn't like he took you out the deck.
Yeah.
He still put you back in the deck, and it would be like the same people. And we would watch him shuffle the cards.
No.
So you're just like sitting in there like, oh my goodness, like, is he going to call on me? Am I going to know the answer? Like, it's just, so it forced you to like read, like in hindsight, I'm like, he's forcing you to read the material and trying to make you learn by giving you some sense of fear, like that you're going to be called on. But like, yo, there was people that, if my classmates are listening to this, like it was people who got called on 3-4 times in the same semester, and I just my card never came up. I was prepared every class, but my card never came up.
That's good, because if I got called on, I'd be like, look, I never want to take this class again. It's like, why am I so unlucky? That's what I would be thinking. Why am I so unlucky? But yeah, law school, they teach by fear. I think that's like that first year, that's how they kind of shape you, is because it's like, look, the fear of failure is the real thing. And especially, if you have to take out student loans, or, you have a lot riding on it, they kind of rule by fear. So you have to like put up or shut up.
Yeah. And you just want to make sure that you are doing all the readings. And I know some classes, the professor might have like a get out of jail free card for that day. They might give out 2 a semester or something like that. So like if it's a day where you didn't read, I recommend using a card, because you do not want to get called on and not know what's going on. Because like we had professors that would put you out, like the class, like you have to exit. You do not read, you're not prepared, you can't be here. So it's important to be prepared, like make a schedule, I think, like of what your classes are when you need to study, and stick to it, because you do not want to walk in there and not have read what's going on.
Exactly. And I know like we both went to school at a time where a lot of our classmates were married, they had families, they were older, they'd had other careers. And oftentimes a lot of them are so successful because they've already had the benefit of having that work-life balance and having to juggle different things. So it's kind of second nature to them to know when to plan to study, or like my class schedule is here, so I need to review my notes and do my outline at this time. And, I still have to squeeze in time to go to like lunch and learns and all these different things that you need to do. You don't need to wait till your second year to start trying to figure this out. It's better to start it on the front end than try to go back and backtrack.
Yeah. I think of some attorneys that I went to school with now, and like I know 2 attorneys that I respect a lot. They both had kids during law school, like, and they did a phenomenal job. Like, I don't know how they managed all that. I was struggling. It was just me, but like they had kids, they had a husband, like, and I actually shout them out because I want to see if they'll get on this podcast. But Taylor and Adele, like, that I can think of off top of my head, is like, I remember like they put in that work. And another one I could think of is Kimberly Porter. she also teaches like law students how to like get through law school and how to like prep for the bar and stuff like that. But like I watched them and they did a great job. Like they kept a schedule, they took care of their kids. Like I have a lot of respect for people that can do that, and it can be done. So
it can be.
Whatever your situation is, you can figure something out.
You can. You just have to be determined and really want to make it a priority and want to be successful. I think you can do anything if you want to do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea to have, is that if you want to do it, that's the key part.
If you want to.
And you're willing to put in the work, you can do whatever you want.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I think another thing too that people don't talk about in law school, which is how we met, was we studied at a different school, and I also studied abroad, which you can do in law school. Yeah. But like, I guess give them some insight as to how we met, like what's the, you know, what we were doing there in DC.
So we met at a summer program. There's all different types of programs now, but this one was specifically geared towards law students, and everybody had different interests. You didn't have to have like, well, I only want to focus on civil law or only want to focus on criminal law. It was just like a general program, and they didn't fly you out. You had to have your own transportation and stuff. That would have been great.
It was not covered. We paid for it.
They do offer scholarships, but you had to be responsible for your own like housing and stuff like that.
And food.
And food. Oh my goodness. And we took a class. It's basically like you're just doing law school, except in the summer. You're doing it at another school. And so the school we went to was George Mason, which is now like the Scalia School of Law. And we took a class. I can't even remember the type of class we took, but they matched you with an internship based on your interest. And you went to school, you went to work, you took the class at night, and then they had like a host of different networking events. I think we had to do like some type of project.
Yeah.
And you're doing all of this. And I will say I'm so grateful that we did that, not only because I met you, but like it gives you that first kind of like taste to what life is like, especially in law school. And I'm so glad that we did it not in your hometown or the area you go to law school. So it forces you to get out and to meet people. So I definitely say do a summer abroad program, study abroad program, or definitely go out and look for this stuff. The internet is free, y'all. Like if you want to do something, even if you think something and you don't know the full extent of what you want to do, just put it out there. Just type in like a quick Google search. And now you can even type in an AI like, hey, I think I'm interested in, I don't know, entertainment law. Like help me search entertainment law options for law school students. And there's so many opportunities out there. And surprisingly enough, there's so many people that want to help. Contrary to popular belief, like a lot of people are not trying to like gatekeep information. If they see that you're willing to put in the work and you seem like a genuine person, they'll take you under their wing and help you. So just get out there, and you got to want it. I know we keep saying it, but it's like at the end of the day, you have to want it for yourself.
Yeah. And I always say like hard work beats talent when talent don't work. So if it's people there that's smart in law school with you, that's fine. But if they don't work hard, they're not organized, I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're probably going to outwork them, someone that's a hard worker versus someone that's smart, because it's a combination of things that go into it, just like practicing law. Like, so you just got to be willing to do the work, is why we keep saying that over and over again. And while we say that, I think we need to shout out our trio. We got a trio from DC.
Yes.
I think it's somebody we need to shout out, that she has her own law firm and she works very, very hard, actually.
Yes. She is a hard worker. Shaquila Miller Brewer.
Yes.
Is it Tan?
It's Tran Miller and Associates.
Associates, yes. She is a phenomenal woman, a phenomenal lawyer, phenomenal mom, phenomenal wife.
Yes.
She is really that woman. And I feel like ever since we met, she's always like been that personality. Like she just has like a big personality in the best way. And so one thing is like seeing your friends kind of transition into these different areas of life. It's just like she's such a boss. She does a lot of intellectual property and trademark stuff. So it's just amazing.
Yep.
And she works hard, like you said.
And she also does personal injury in Texas.
Yes.
So if you have a case in Texas, we recommend her. And we all three went to North Carolina. We were able to meet the Supreme Court Justice, Justice Jackson. And so we were able to meet up. But that's another benefit of being in those programs is like you meet people that you'll know for the rest of your life. They don't have to live where you live at. Like we still all talk and we don't live in the same state. So like that's a benefit of law school. That's a benefit of the programs. It's a benefit of practicing law. Like you work places and you make friends.
Yeah, and it's like you need that community. If your community only consists of people in your area, then that's sad, especially in today's age where so much is online. There's so many different platforms to connect with people. You really need to like push yourself out of your comfort zone. Don't just try to limit yourself to only the area that you see. You never know what may happen by you just taking that leap and going and spending a summer in DC, spending a summer in New York or LA. You may find out that, hey, this is not for me. You may find a completely different passion. You could have best friends for life. You can meet the love of your life. You don't know what could happen. Just really think about it. Listen to those little voices in your head and don't be afraid to take the chance.
Yeah, and try it out because, that's a good point. You could very well find out what you don't like.
Yeah.
That's another thing about internships, too. You can find out, hey, I don't like this. And you don't even have to try to get a job in that area because you already know you don't like it versus you get out, take a job in something you think you like, and then you don't. And then you're sitting here trying to figure out, will it look bad on your resume if you quit so soon?
Yeah.
Which that's a real thing I think people talk about, like job hopping and stuff like that.
And it's not that it's like job hopping is a bad thing. You just have to know how to do it strategically. And I think that's kind of like something that we've said from starting law school to college. If you start early in college and you kind of like, of course you're going to evolve, you're going to change. And law school shapes drastically changes how you think and how you view the world. So if you start early, like if I think, I'm in college, well, do I want to be a litigator? Do I want to be in the courtroom? Let me talk to people who are in the courtroom. Do I want to be a personal injury attorney? Do I want to be a transactional attorney? Do I want to work for a corporation? If you kind of just start looking, and now people have podcasts, people are sharing information about everything just to kind of get those gems because time is precious and you just don't have it to waste.
Yeah. And time is more valuable than money because you can always make money, but you're not going to get your time back.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think job hopping is bad either. I mean, I've hopped jobs before. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But that's just me.
But no. I'm with you. If it's what's meant for you is for you.
Yeah.
Just always try to leave on a good note. That's what, that's what people say. And I know it's like that's the old school way of doing it. We're not trying to do it, but it's like you never know where you'll be. You never know who you may run into. And your reputation means everything. You just don't want to start, especially as a young attorney, fresh out. You don't want to tarnish your reputation before you've even had a chance to build it. So you can respectfully leave a place that's no longer suiting you. You just have to do it in the right way.
Yeah, and you also don't want to have a situation where you leave something in a negative light and then the person that's your boss or coworker is like the judge on your next case 5 years from now, because that could very well happen. Like, you don't know where people are going to end up, where they're going, as well as who they know.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put yourself in a situation when you could have just had a conversation, or it could have been like, did your 2-week notice even though you didn't want to, and leave on a good term, because you just don't know, man. Time goes by, people move, people meet people, and you just be surprised where someone is,
and how the world is all connected. And it's like, try to have a plan. Don't react off of emotion. I think that's one thing law school taught me, and just from law school to being an attorney and practicing, you need to try to have emotional intelligence in all areas of life, but especially when you're doing business and work. Try not to make emotional decisions that will bite you in the long run. Just, people will say, type the email, but don't send it, or write it out and then crumple it up. Get that release. But at the same time, just know every battle is not worth fighting. Every battle is not worth fighting. Like, sometimes it's okay to let things be. Like, you don't have to have the last word. Walk away. Like, just walk away. People, I have a sister, I tell her all the time, people are going to say things you don't like. People are going to do things you don't like all the time. You need to learn how to deal with that and just let it go. You can't control everybody, and you shouldn't want to. It's going to be exhausting.
Yeah, I had a boss tell me one time, she was like, I wanted to hire you in the interview, but I just had to sleep on it. Like, I sleep on everything. And I thought that was very smart. Even like now on my own business, like I've interviewed people and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I want to hire her right now. Like, I don't like to waste time. I don't want to do all these interviews. I don't want to waste the other person's time. So usually I'm like, okay, but I've learned that you need to like sit on something for a little bit, at least sleep on it. And then when you wake up, if that's, you still on the same feeling, then maybe it's a good idea to move forward with it.
And that's okay. And I think it just helps you know yourself better throughout the years. Like, just seeing you evolve, like, you are more comfortable. Like, everybody, the longer you do it, you get more comfortable in yourself. You get more comfortable in decision making. And you need those times, like those challenges, to kind of like push you. So it's like it's like a muscle. You have to train it in order for it to grow. But like you said, always kind of like flesh out your decisions. Don't make rash decisions at all, especially in business, especially in law, when people's money and people's lives are depending on it. It's really a selfless profession. People, sometimes we get a bad rap. People like, oh, all y'all do is lie. Y'all are lie warriors, or all y'all want is money. People just, but it's really, when you find good attorneys who are doing it for the right reasons, they're really selfless. And just think about that. If you're going in it for the money, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, probably some ethics complaints, some lawsuits, some malpractice issues. So just make sure you're going into it for the right reasons.
So I know we talked about in the beginning that you were a trial lawyer, right? So I guess explain for the people who don't understand what a trial lawyer is. And then, like, can you tell us, is it similar to the movies and the shows, like the Lincoln Lawyer? People want to know, like Annalise Keaton, like, that was the show back. Scandal.
Yeah, I stopped watching those shows in law school because one of our crim law professor would make us watch Law and Order in order to learn. And so from then on, I was like, I cannot do this. But a trial lawyer, some people call it a litigator, is just someone who actually tries cases. And I think before we kind of got here, we were talking about some people think, well, I'm going to hire an attorney, but they're hiring an attorney who is great. Don't get me wrong, but they don't actually go into the courtroom. And sometimes, like, you need that person that's going to be a dog. You need somebody that's going to get in there and get the outcome that you need, whether that be, you were in an accident, whether that be, you were a victim of a crime, or whether that be you're on the opposite side. Like, you need somebody who's going to fight and not be scared to get in that courtroom. It's yes and no. It's kind of like some of the shows, like, of course, like the layout, the outfits that people wear. Some of the language is okay, but for the most part, it's just not as There's federal court, there's state court, you have city court. There's different types of courtrooms. And just depending on where you are, it's going to look a lot different. And I primarily practice in state court. And so it's formal, but it's also like a little laid back. So it's not as strict as federal court, but you'll have people going in there like trials. You need to be able to say your piece. Like you can't be, well, yes, Your Honor, I really want to objection. And it's like, no, if you have an objection, Your Honor,
Yes,
like
you need to say it.
Yes, you need to say it.
Stand on your objection.
Stand on your objection.
Or don't object.
Or don't object. That's the word. Or don't object. And so you need to be able to have somebody that's gonna fight for you and not be scared to go toe to toe. And when you're looking for attorneys, I know like we're talking about law school to become a lawyer, but if you're looking for an attorney, that's something important to look for, because you never know whether it's like a divorce, a custody issue, personal injury. You need to ask them. And it's okay to ask lawyers questions. Like that's your right as a client. And especially if you're retaining someone or you have to pay for that, you need to be able to ask them, hey, do you have any trial experience? Do you have any litigation experience? If so, what type? Do you mind sharing with me the outcomes? And if a lawyer is uncomfortable sharing that with you, go in the opposite direction.
And also, too, I know like at firms, I mean, at my firm, I file my own lawsuits, but I have co-counsel that comes in if I like go to trial, like another lawyer from another firm will sit together, and it doesn't cost anything to my clients for that additional lawyer. But I know some lawyers, they might just have an in-house litigation attorney that would work on the case in the same firm if they don't litigate it, or they might refer it out to a litigation firm. So these are questions you can ask as well. Like just because they don't litigate, they might have someone in their office that litigates. So it's just that they handle maybe the front end of the case, and then if it goes a certain direction, they pass it on. But those are questions to ask, like, is it being passed on? Is it being referred out? Are you going to hire co-counsel if you're a smaller firm, if it does go to trial? I always say, like, I think 2 lawyers is better, first chair, second chair, if you're trying a case. I don't recommend trying a case with just one lawyer, but that's just my opinion.
It's hard. It's a lot of work. Like we most of the time always have a second chair, just because they pick up on things that you might miss. Like no one is perfect. No one is above mistakes. Just having that support in a teammate, essentially to have your back, makes all the difference. Someone to just share the load with you. And like you pointed out, no one area is better than the other. So like, you may find someone who says, well, I have an in-house person, or I have co-counsel that helps me. Like that stuff on the front end is just as important. Like those deadlines, those briefs, those motions, like that stuff, a lot of that stuff is make or break before you even get to trial, to say what you can talk about and what you can't talk about. So that stuff is important too, but you just want to be honest. Like if you're interested in law school, you want to make sure that you're honest with people about what you're capable of. And I think that's where a lot of miscommunication comes from. Like you need to be able to communicate and say, hey, this isn't my strong suit. Like I'm going to refer it out to somebody, or like, yes, I can do this, but just so you know, I typically also have someone else that helps me. I find that when people communicate on the front end, it saves everybody a world of confusion, avoid confusion on the back end.
Yep. And at the top, people are collaborating. Like I say this all the time. The best attorneys, they're collaborating with other attorneys. That's how you're going to get the best outcome on your case. Is multiple attorneys. They might have different styles, backgrounds, and they all come together for you to fight on your specific case. So definitely ask those questions and look at your contract to see what it allows for and what it doesn't. Okay, well, we are getting towards the end of this podcast. Like I said, this probably could have been multiple episodes, but I do want to ask you, what's your definition of success now versus what it was 10 years ago when you were graduating from law school?
Oh, my definition of success now would be, aside from like the traditional things that people say about like, money and wins and all this stuff, it would be when you are able to authentically be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you can show up no matter where you go, no matter who you're talking to, you can authentically sit in yourself and just own that. 10 years ago, or like fresh out of law school, I would have been like, success is when you have this much money, you've won this many cases, you've done this, you've achieved all the things. But yeah, that stuff is good, but you need to have a sense of self, like becoming the law student to becoming the lawyer. Who are you as a person, and how can you own that?
Oh, I like that. Because, law is, you're a lawyer. That's what you do, but that's not really who you are as
Yeah.
the person. So that's good. Answer. I like that answer. I'm gonna have to sit on that one.
Sit on it.
Okay, and then my other question, see we can fit this in, is someone sitting for the bar exam and they're prepping for the bar exam. So we're in the front end of the year, but July, that's that
Ooh.
season when everybody's taking the bar exam. What's your top 2 tips for bar exam prep?
I'm strict, y'all. Like, when I would say, honestly, don't hate me, do not hate me. But if you are graduating in April, May, you're sitting for the July bar exam, do not do anything. Don't, just for a few months, for 2 months, just cut out all the stuff, cut out all the fluff. Like, just dial it back. You don't have to be going out, like doing the social media, like doing all the things that are distracting. Just dial it back and just focus on yourself. Use that time to like eat right, to exercise, to like make sure it's a mental test. And so you need to make sure that your mind and body are in the best shape when you sit for that test. So my first tip would be to just, whether you're calling it a fast or however you want to put it, I would say to give up the things that are distracting to you, whether that be like toxic relationships, if anything that's a distraction, give that up. And the second thing I would say is to find a schedule, a study plan that works for you and to stick with it. You are no good if you don't have a plan. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. So get a video, whether that's Barbary, Kaplan, Themist, a private tutor, get a plan and stick with it and make sure you can see it through to the end. And I feel like if you do those things, success will find you.
Success will find you. Y'all heard it here on the podcast. I love that. Well, I definitely appreciate you being here. I mean, I know you helped me a lot when I had to retake, just having a call and just get the support. And it's good having friends that's willing to, support you and give you advice or just sit on the phone with you while you're trying to study or work or do whatever it is that you're doing. And then, like, I know you always, like, fly in for events and stuff like that. I just really appreciate it. I do want to say, where can the people find you? Like, is there an email? Is, like, how do they get in contact with you? Like, say somebody did want to reach out for some type of mentorship or something.
If y'all want to reach out, I'm going to have to send that to you later.
Okay.
I'm not like a big social media person, which is funny that she asked me that because I did tell her that one of my things, I'm going to start it. So I'm going to have to send that in to you. So hopefully, hold my feet to the fire that by the time this drops, I will have started something so I can send to you because I definitely don't mind helping. Like you said, everybody's sharing the information. Like if you're not, don't be a hater. Just don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater.
That's one thing I love about Rachel. She is not a hater. She will help just listening to her talk, even though like sometimes she's talking about stuff that's not my like area of expertise or something that I didn't think that I may be interested in. Just being around people who have that knowledge, you will be sitting at like 2:00 in the morning. You'd be like, oh yeah, I could do this. Like it may not be the way that they do it, but you can tweak it and make it for yourself. So I just want to thank you for having me. I want to thank you for being an amazing woman.
Oh,
I'm so proud of you.
That's so nice.
Y'all follow her, support her. She's that girl. She's that girl for real. If people say they're that girl, like beyond the aesthetics, somebody that's really getting to the work, somebody who really has a heart for people. Y'all, it's really her. So I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. You trying to make us cry
I
on the
know.
podcast. Oh my goodness. Yeah, thank you so much. I do talk a lot, so if you ever been around me, I'm sorry. I can't help it. I think
It's a good thing. I love it. I love
just talk
it.
and talk. I could probably talk about anything. So we're gonna wrap this up, and hopefully next time you visit the A, we can get back on this podcast and we can have some questions. Maybe people will comment what they want to hear about. So
Absolutely.
we are gonna wrap this. Thank you for listening or watching wherever you're watching or listening from. To the Between the Winds podcast, where we talk about real life between the highlight reels. And I hope to see y'all on the next episode.